Class. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the compare contrast essay, which is essay number 2. Again, if you have your prompt out on your computer or printed, that might be helpful to you because I will not go over everything on the prompt, so that's something you'll have to go over on your own, but this is just sort of a overview so we can have a little bit of a conversation. You're going to write a compare and contrast essay. So a comparison is when you take two items and you describe the similarities, and when you're contrasting, you take two items and you describe the differences. And that's, of course, the simplest terms. So what I want to talk about is just delving deeper. Again, you don't want to have surface level comparisons and contrasting ideas. So for instance, say we're comparing Pepsi and Coke. Now, maybe our first instinct is to talk about taste. Well, really, that's a kind of a difficult subject to attack in a formal essay, because maybe something tastes, maybe Pepsi's sweeter to me, and Coke is sweeter to you. It's sort of an opinion, right? It's hard to prove. And once you say that, there's really nowhere else to go, right? So again, we want to talk about picking ideas that are going to give you enough to write about in that paragraph. So a better idea might be how they both represent American products. Okay, so they're both America. Notice that they use red, white, and blue colors, and their commercials a lot of times represented like maybe a family-friendly American representation, right? So that gives you a lot to talk about. That's going to be a strong paragraph. Then, of course, you want to keep them different. So maybe the next idea could be something along the lines of just spitballing the origins. One was developed in Georgia, and the other was developed in North Carolina. And, of course, again, you'll brainstorm. You'll come up with better ideas. And of course, again, you are not comparing and contrasting Pepsi and Coke. Of course, we're going to compare and contrast something different, and that is texts from your textbook. So you'll see the bullet points on your prompt, and it kind of tells you the goals of the paper, things like length. This one's going to be a page longer than the last paper, so at least 4 full pages. Remember, don't do 3.5. And no more than 5, please. Usually if you go over 5, then it might be a little bit of off topic or babbling. You always want to be clear and concise. So you want to use a works cited page you're going to include, which is something you didn't do last time. So there's going to be research in this paper, and you're going to use quotes, and you're going to use in-text citations. So if you are, you haven't been in school for a while, or you're just not familiar with this is going to take some time. So I would start as soon as possible on the works cited page and the in-text citations. We're going to have a PowerPoint online that talks about quoting within the paper that's going to help you with the in-text citations. Of course, you can email me at any time. The Real Center is available, or the virtual Real Center for online classes. So check that out. Remember, a works cited page is going to be a separate page, so it doesn't count as that those 4 full pages. So a lot of times people will write 4 pages, and the 5th one will be the works cited page. What else does it say here? Okay, then you're going to use MLA formatting, which you did last time, like 12 font. Please use Times New Roman, include a title, use effective words and thesis statement, topic sentences. You're going to use present tense, third person point of view. And so again, read through those goals. I kind of just ran through them, but email me if you have any trouble. On your prompt, it will tell you the 2 readings to read from your textbook. I switched these up, so I'm not going to say them right now, but you can check them out on your prompt there. You can't start this essay until you've read these 2. So go ahead and do that. They are fairly short, so make sure, as you read, I would suggest highlighting any if you think you found a thesis statement, if you think you found a strong idea, an opinion, a quote that you might want to use in your paper, highlight it. If you don't want to write in your textbook, you can always use sticky notes. So, everything you take from the writing, you'll use in text citations always. So that's the author's last name and the page number. And don't Google, okay, again, because it's hard not to sometimes, but again, I don't want anyone to accidentally plagiarize or purposely plagiarize. So, don't even try to open up that can of worms. Okay. You will be using point-by-point method for this compare and contrast essay. I have provided a very simplistic sort of outline for the body paragraphs on the prompt, you'll see. And basically what you'll do is your first point, so if we're using that Pepsi and Coke idea, so the Americanization would maybe be the topic sentence for your first body paragraph, which is your second paragraph, right? And then you'll talk about Pepsi first, and then Coke second. In your instance, you'll have the first essay or text, and then the second essay, right? You're going to keep that order. So whatever essay you start to talk about, that you mentioned in the thesis, that will be the first one every single time. So you want to keep an order. You don't want to kind of keep switching back and forth. And then, say again, you want to do the second point, the second body paragraph, which is the third paragraph, might be the origins, like we talked about, Georgia, North Carolina. And then you'll do the, whatever you did first, and then, keep that order. And then so on and so forth. You can have 3 or 4 points or body paragraphs. So that's up to you. And it depends on basically how well you can elaborate on your points. So if you have trouble with it, you might want to go with 4 points. Introduction and thesis. So your hook should be interesting. You don't want to repeat anything that you're going to say in the body paragraphs in the hook, okay? You don't want to be repetitive in your essays. So here you're trying to introduce both essays in your hook without being repetitive. So maybe find a more obvious common ground, and you can talk about it. You can talk about current events that link or that are relevant to these essays, and then transition. There's a lot of ways that you can do the hook, and I would keep it fresh. I would keep it interesting, and not just one sentence. Sometimes people really go too short, and sometimes people go overboard. Your intro should not be a full page or anything like that. So like 3-4 sentences is your hook. Then you want to transition, link that hook to the essays in some way, and then have that thesis statement, which should be 1 sentence. Again, the thesis should be 1 sentence. Okay, it's going to be a lengthy one, and I did provide you with a thesis format example that does do well with this type of essay. You do not have to follow this exactly. However, you do have to have certain things, such as both authors' names, both essays' titles, and all of your points. And they have to be very clear of which points are going to be comparing and which points are going to be contrasting. You can't do both in one body paragraph. You have to do one or the other. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you have, like say you have 2 comparing paragraphs and you have 1 contrasting. That's okay, as long as you have at least 1 of each. So here I have an example, and it breaks it down for you, and you can kind of look at that yourself. If you want to use this template, you can. So if you just want to plug in your information, that's great too. Keep in mind that essays from the textbook use quotation marks, okay? You only underline or italicize titles if they are a book. There's other instances, but essays use quotation marks too. Okay? You're going to use the meal format that you used from the first essay, except it's going to be a little bit different in this essay. So, last time you didn't use any evidence, so you just sort of used, I don't want to say personal experience because it was in third person point of view, but things that you knew, right? Current events or common knowledge, things like that. This time, or examples, you used examples. This time you're going to use evidence. So what does that mean? So with the E part of the meal, you're going to use quotes from the textbook. Okay, so you're going to have first M will be that main point, that topic sentence that tells what your first point is. E is going to be your quote. You're going to introduce it. You're going to have an in-text citation. A, you're going to analyze that quote. Then you'll have another E from the second text, which is the quote, right? Introduce it, in-text citation. Then A, and analyze that second quote for the second text and how they are similar or different. And then L, link it all together in a sentence. The conclusion is pretty much the same as the first essay. You're going to restate, not repeat, your thesis statement and conclude something. Do not simply point out that both sources are different or similar. Don't just repeat what you already said. What kind of point are you asserting? What can we gather from all the information that you supplied? Give us a little something there. Remember, a conclusion should be, the length of it should be about the same length as your introduction. It shouldn't be a full page long or anything. So keep that in mind as well. Again, you're going to have a works cited page. It's very important that you include the works cited page at the end. It should be on its own sheet of paper. It should be in alphabetical order by author's last name. So you're only providing 2 citations here for the 2 texts that you read. If this is totally new to you, I really suggest getting with the Virtual Real Center early because they can help you very easily, or it can help you very easily. And but I also am going to provide you with some resources to help you make this works cited page much easier on Blackboard. And also you have your textbook, which is the rules for writers that can help you make this works cited page. Okay, so this is a difficult paper. It is a big step up from the first essay. The first essay we kind of got our feet wet a little bit. But you can do it. Please email me with any questions that you have as early as possible, so we can help you out. And check out all the other materials on Blackboard. I have a thesis example, I have a rubric, I have a student paper example that might help you. I think it's on different essays, but that's probably better. And the prompt and the outline example as well. So again, let me know if you have any trouble and get started as soon as you can. Have a good day.